Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host GamerK's, and this is the final video for this month of August. So, I'm doing a top 13 list of my favorite boss battles in video games. Boss battles are the big part of any video game, other than the obvious reveal ending, or the plot twist that will lead into another game, or quite honestly, the romance scenes, which I'm a big fan of. So, for my boss battle list, I'm wearing my Batman Villains and Batman Skull shirt. I usually try to wear a whole bunch of my novelty shirts for each video, depending on what I'm reviewing or depending on what I'm talking about. I'm trying to match the shirt. So, here are the rules for my top 13 best bosses list. One boss per franchise. So, one Kingdom Hearts boss, pretty much one boss from each series in general is the basic rule. Two, I tried to go into video game only bosses like I did in my previous videos, but oh boy, it's difficult to do. It is very difficult. But, and the third rule, I will be explaining these bosses and why they're on the list and how they got on the list. So, and just in case for people who haven't played the games that we'll be mentioning in this video, I might talk about a little bit about the story and how it led to the boss battle. So, spoiler warning right here, right now. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about the video game before I do the reveal of which boss. So, if you haven't played those games yet, which from the look of my list, I doubt you haven't, let's start off. Coming at number 13, this is the very first handheld boss that's on the list, and from the looks of it, he's the only one. Mega Man games were really, really fun for me, and really big for me when I was a kid. Loved every single one of them. Never played 1, 2, or 3, never beat 4, never beat 5, only beat 6, and I beat all the Star Force ones. But in Mega Man Battle Network 6 is where this boss comes from. He is the 7th boss in the game, where we go to high in the sky city where weather's the big thing. We get Element Man. He is a very, very fun looking character. He talks very weird, like he talks in noises, and it's translated. And the design of him is pretty cool. He's basically like a humanoid monster with not really a head, it's just his eyes poking out of shadows, with a giant ring around his back, which reminds me of a Narukami of Japanese mythology, where the lightning emblems are on his back on a ring. Now, the big thing of this boss battle, and with most Mega Man bosses, is some of them have elemental weaknesses. Based on his name, Element Man has a lot of them, because throughout the battle, he will change color and element in order to do certain attacks. So he'll do wood attacks, he'll do fire attacks, water attacks, electrical attacks, and his main focus is air attacks. So, knowing this ahead of time, the boss battle is pretty simple. He'll shoot out fire towers at you, he'll shoot bubbles, he'll do a wood tower, thunderstorms, and pretty much little twisters on the edge of the battle arena. Now, knowing this ahead of time, it's very easy to do. You just build your battle deck around all those elements, and pretty much it's a basic fight. That's why he's lower on the list, because I don't really do a lot of handheld bosses for these types of lists. But he was my favorite. I mean, when I made this list, I made a decision to put a handheld video game boss battle, and among the Mega Man ones, he was my favorite, mostly because he had a cool gimmick because the whole gimmick of the game is using your chips to pretty much a fight against your opponent's weaknesses, and he takes full advantage of that by switching every now and then. Good start off for the list. Now let's continue. Coming in at number 12, picking an Assassin's Creed boss battle is very difficult because there isn't in terms of boss battle. Because normally it's just take out all the other enemies around and silently assassinate. But it's Assassin's Creed Origins where this villain hails from. One of the main targets in the game, and one of the few to give me a decent challenge right off near the beginning of the game. Halised, or the Hyena. Halised joined the Order in order to gain access to ancient technology and also dark forces in order to bring her daughter back. And I think that goes in contrast with Bayek a little bit, because I mean he's in the Hidden Ones because it was his duty, and he's also on this journey to avenge his son's death in the beginning of the game. And Halised's kind of doing the same. She's joining the Order of Ancients in order to get her daughter back, in the hopes of doing so. And I think it's a good... I love it when they do bosses that contrast with what the main character is going through, but in a different way. It's really cool. And the boss battle is very, very fun. It's one of the few times in Assassin's Creed where I couldn't sneak out and stealthily kill. Because when in the middle of the desert, because this takes place in the Cairo, Egypt area, there's a massive sandstorm going. She has hyenas fighting for her. She uses a bow and arrow, so you really gotta do that as well and fight her mano a mano. So it's one of the few Assassin's Creed bosses that really surprised me, because I never saw the videos on YouTube. I never watched anyone play it. So it was a big surprise that a hyena would be this fun to fight. I'm just glad it wasn't a Scar. And I'm going to the next one. Coming in at number 11, I had a hard time picking, because I didn't want to pick anyone from the new Spider-Man game. I didn't want to pick anyone from a game that recently came out. So I had to dive into my old collection, and I found Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, and they had a pretty good variety of boss battles. But the one that really got on this list was Chapter 3, Boss 4, Carnage. Throughout the level, you are fighting these symbiotic, corrupted people, and we don't even know if this is Cletus Cassidy. I think it's just the Carnage symbiote affected by the Rock, and it just took form around that, which was... And oh my god, Carnage is creepy enough in the comics, in the TV show, but watching the blood vessel look of him, like he's blood vessels and it's oozing, and it's downright disturbing, but in a cool way. It fits with Carnage. And his boss battle is pretty good. I mean, he pretty much conceals himself in a giant cocoon that looks like a heart. I don't know. You gotta defend the robots that are destroying it. You gotta fight off his minions. Yeah, that's one thing I don't like in a boss battle. When in a boss battle, you gotta fight the minions that you spent half the level, or some cases the entire game fighting in a boss battle. And then afterwards, we get the QTE, where we get him close and fist fight him and dodge his attacks. Though, that kind of thing I do like. Not much to say about Carnage's boss battle here, but it's simple, it's straight to the point, and it does give Carnage a demonizing look, and I love it. Really hope they bring him in the next game. Coming in at number 10, if I were to go back and do a villains that are great, but I hate them, this guy would be on the top of the list. Persona 5 definitely shows what it's like to be powerless. And this guy takes full advantage of that. In the very first chapter of the game, the first dungeon, Suguru Kamoshida, the biggest, I'm trying to censor myself, the biggest creep you could possibly imagine in a video game. This guy outranks Mark Jefferson from Life is Strange in tenfold. And here, I mean, I'm not going to get into top discussion about what he does, but basically, he abuses his authority as the coach, abuses his students in many, many ways, and his boss battle is signifying of that. He is a giant, lustful demon sucking up all of his old glory and using it for his own selfish reasons. And the boss battle is really fun. I love how they implement that he's a volleyball star in his attacks, like the way he spikes a volleyball at us. He uses a golden fork and a knife. He drinks wine in order to boost himself up. It's definitely reminiscent of Lust. I love it, and his demon design is, oh my god, it's a very disturbing image. And yeah, Kamoshida may be a scumbag and definitely not a character I would love to see at a Comic-Con. But dang, did they not give us a great boss battle right off this bat? Okay, now we go from less creepy and to more fun-filled boss battles. Coming in at number 9, like I said in my review, Battle for Bikini Bottom is and always will be one of my favorite video games in general. And their boss battles definitely make the game feel more fun than Flying Dutchman's Revenge ever did. I mean, there were 7 bosses, 3 of which were 3 damage, and then the robot battles, which were 9 damage. And there's no boss battle that always comes to mind than Robo Patrick, the second main boss in the game, in the industrial park. Oh my god, the way this boss battle plays out is brilliant. It plays to both Sandy and SpongeBob's skill sets throughout each stage. First, we gotta fight a SpongeBob, and first off, I'm just gonna say this: the design of this boss battle is cool. He's got an ice cream cone that's like hot goo or industrial waste from the park. I'm not 100% sure. And they even have a kick me sign for a weakness on his back. Now that is beautifully edited, and I hope they kept that in when the Rehydrated series game comes out. But the boss battle itself is really, really fun. He licks the cone, he spits the goo at you. He does a giant spin attack, which in the beginning isn't really that threatening. But once you fight him, he freezes SpongeBob, and then you gotta fight him as Sandy. Which, this is where the boss battle gets really tricky. Because after you damage it, he will jump on a pulley, and it will release the goo into the arena. Meaning you can't really just go out and attack him. But luckily, as you swing from the Texas markers, it will release boxes for you to use as platforms in order to get close to the opponent, in order to get close to him. Third part of the boss battle is when the entire area is filled with goo. You have to use the conveyor belts, and using the bubble bowl to hit him is very difficult in itself. But as you're moving, the boss battle definitely plays little tricks with the platforming section of the game, with the battle system. And that's a good boss battle when it plays with the game mechanics. And I love that about this boss battle. Coming at number 8 is a personal favorite of mine. In a couple months, I'll probably review this game, but I think it's an underrated game, Puppeteer. And the first boss battle of this game is on this list, General Tiger. The first boss battle of the game is supposed to give you that sense of what the rest of the game is going to be like. And Tiger is no exception. From the giant scale that they gave this boss battle to the size of the player, it definitely plays with your sense of what's going on. For attacks, Tiger can electrify his claws and swipe at you, which you have to guard in order to hurt his paw, like a little kitty cat. He can bite down on the stage. He'll electrify his mace tail and slam it. And for beating him, all you gotta do is just cut up his fur after you block a good number of times, and cut his 2 fangs. And the cool thing about this boss battle is, like the boss battles in Puppeteer, after collecting certain heads in the game, you can use certain heads in order to make the boss battles much more easier. Like if you get the Picarina head, you can basically skip the boss battle altogether and go right to the QTE section. I'll get to that in a second. Or if you get the mace head, you can use that to get rid of the mace and make it into like a fluff ball, where even if he hits you with it, it won't hurt at all. I think that's kind of funny. They play with the magical theater setting of the game and just make it fun for the boss battles as well. The QTE sections are the best part of Puppeteer because they really know how to make it feel like it's cinematic and not just block and hit. The way they do it is fun. And you get to cut his teeth out, making this tiger a more feral cat. And that's what makes this boss battle really fun. It's a great opening boss battle that sets the tone of the battles for the rest of the game. And it's... I'm always going to come back to this boss battle for a reference for a good first boss battle. Coming at number 7, we exit for a little bit the fun boss battles and get right to the gruesome and the creepy. With Hades from God of War 3. A lot of people preferred the Poseidon boss battle because it was so like huge in scale and in impact. But it's Hades boss battle where I think it really gets down and dirty because, for one thing, we're fighting the god of the dead in the underworld. So how much cooler can that be? And I'm not talking about Hades boss battle from Kingdom Hearts 2. Don't even bring it up. But yeah, Hades' boss battle is so cool. Just the way we have to fight him. I mean, we do fight him mano a mano with, like, I mean, he's more giant, which makes the boss battle even greater. Like, he's not to scale of us. He uses his soul claws to attack us with the souls of the dead. It's basically a hit. We just basically attack him and cut out pieces of his flesh, throw it, and then we gotta destroy it in order to weaken him, which I think is very weird. And then afterwards, as each hit works, the background starts to go up in flames as the dead roses and the dead floral cage starts to burn out, revealing the empty chamber that we're in. And then hitting him with the ceiling when he tries to get us into the river Styx by using the chain, it's great. And then obtaining his weapon like near the end of the battle is just fantastic. And then he loses the helmet and becomes butt ugly. And then just the whole thing swinging around and collecting his soul and having the god of the dead's corpse being attacked by the souls of the river Styx in the end. It's just a beautifully designed boss battle for the specific god. Alright. Coming at number 6, Epic Mickey definitely has good boss battles. If you can actually tolerate them. But the first boss... Man, I got a lot of first boss battles on this list. Basically, the Clock Tower from Epic Mickey 1. For people who don't really know anything, choice is a big factor in that game, in my review. Even the boss battles. The Clock Tower is basically the small world clock tower with the paint thinning away, revealing a very creepy face instead of the smiley sun, and its arms extend from the clock tower. So it basically smashes the area where we're fighting. Now, there's 2 ways to fighting this boss battle. You can thin away the paint on the arms, so when it smashes it will break the arms, and that will basically destroy the clock tower. Or you can paint the arms, freezing them in place, and then get on the hand. It will bring you up to the face, and you can just paint the face in, and that will redeem this boss. This is a bit short, boss, so I don't know what else to say, but I have plenty to say. The reason this one is really like halfway on my list is the simple fact is that just the atmosphere they create for this boss makes it more enriched for Disney fans. For one reason, it is in the beginning of the Small World ride, which many fans would love, and they make it dark and creepy like it's been corrupted, like the clock tower has, and the music throughout the game, throughout this boss battle, is a creepy version of It's a Small World. Like, there's no vocals, it's just the music. And if I had to describe how creepy it is, it's like if Pennywise the Clown was singing it. That's as good as a description as I can get. It's creepy, like bone-chilling, like skin-crawling creepy if you're playing it in the dark, definitely. The game, the boss battle hits on its own, being a simple first-time boss battle, but it's just the atmosphere and the music they did that brings it up a notch from these other boss battles. So, kudos. Coming at number 5, my favorite boss battle from Kingdom Hearts 3, Skull. I'm a wolf guy. I love wolves. So the fact for the Frozen boss battle, they decided to make, based on the Norse mythology, a giant phantom wolf. I loved it. And it kind of reminded me a bit of Scar's boss battle, the way he ran throughout the area and charged at you. I like how they took that. And his attacks are great. He swipes his claws at you. He'll bite you. He releases many, many phantasmal wolf heads at you. And then he'll go supernova as he eclipses the sun, creating this dark void where you have to use the snow giant in order to stop it and destroy it. And it's just a cool cinematic sequence watching that happen. And Skull is just my favorite Heartless boss in Kingdom Hearts 3 in general. No other boss battle is better than Skull. My only problem with it is Hans didn't really make a big appearance in the game. They just had him, the scene where he kidnapped Elsa and tried to kill her. And then as he was unconscious, his darkness is what created Skull. Couldn't they have had him just be frustrated that his plans got in the way? Like, please? Mother Gothel was dead, and that created her Heartless. Hans was unconscious. The Disney villains don't really have that much of a role in this series, in this game, now that I'm starting to remember it. But yeah, being an awesome wolf boss, fitting in with the world, being an impressive, like a giant ass battle to begin with, is what gets him on this list. Coming in at number 4, definitely the creepiest boss battle I can remember as a kid, especially in the original version and in the remastered version. They make him even creepier. Scorch from Spyro Year of the Dragon. I had nightmares of this boss battle, of this boss when I was a kid. It's a giant bat lizard monster that shoots fireballs and plasma energy out. It shoots rockets out of its mouth. It lays eggs that lets out weasels with bombs, crabs, and a mini buzz. Man, they went overboard with this boss. But it's also the fact of the arena that you fight. You fight in what looks like the skeleton of a dead water animal. And the entire floor is the entire area around the arena is acid. And Scorch is just creepy to begin with. But Oh my god, I didn't want to get near him as a kid because I was so scared. Oh my god, it was such a fun boss battle though. Fighting him was cool. Using items dropped by Bentley in order to shoot missiles, rockets at him. It was just a fun, really creepy boss battle. And once again, the atmosphere. It's what gets him higher on this list. We're at the top 3, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just refresh. Coming in at number 3. Imagine a man who wanted to make America great again. No, not him. Definitely not him. I played this game years ago, and I watched most of it on YouTube, and I could never get to the final boss, so, I mean, I never beat him, because I wasn't that good at the time, and plus I had to give the game back. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance had some awesome boss battles, but in the terms of making a really cool political villain and also being the final boss of the game and making him... You know what? I'm just going to say it. Senator Armstrong's number 3. Like, making America great again, this is the way to do it in a movie and in a video game. He is... The one thing I love about this boss battle is how his philosophy is basic: ruin America in order to make it great again. I'm not 100% sure. War as a business. It's different, and it's really riveting. What I love about this boss battle is not just Senator Armstrong himself and how little he plays out throughout the game, but it's his boss battle in general that gets him on here. Because it's multi-layered, which usually sometimes is very lackluster. But the way they do it, first you have to fight him in a Metal Gear, which is big, which is super cool enough. And then you gotta fight him on top of the dead thing, and you're barely doing any damage to him because he's formed with nanomachines. Oh my, that makes him go Gum Gum Elephant Gun from One Piece. And then after a huge cutscene, we finally get to battle him in the destructed area of the Earth where the Metal Gear crashed or broke down, and it's like scorched Earth, and the music, the soundtrack in this game is beautiful enough, and added to the boss battle, it really feels like a final confrontation boss. Because of the music and how cool the atmosphere around it is. He's throwing Metal Gear parts at you and pieces of a broken building, and you slice through it. It's QTE. It's not QTE heavy, but it does have some, and it's done flawlessly. Senator Armstrong, it may be a bad politician, but he's a damn good boss battle, and he's earned his spot on the top 3 list. Number 2. Okay, this one's a little weird, but the reason this guy's on the number 2 of my list is because when it comes to QTEs, most bosses don't use enough of it. Some rely too heavy on it. This one does it perfectly. Oogie Boogie from The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge video game. I'm talking about the final boss battle here. And oh dear God, the first boss battle, you fight him as a giant heaping pile of trash, where we basically you just have to hit him and burn him, which isn't that fun. I mean, the atmosphere of Holiday Trash Hill is beautiful, seeing all the holiday junk surrounding us as we fight, and Oogie being made of all that stuff. But it's the final part of the boss battle, where in this game, QTEs are a big musical thing. And I love that in this game. But the last part of the boss battle is 100% QTE as they're singing. And you gotta be really careful. But, oh my god, the boss battle is really good. Seeing Jack and Oogie singing to each other and Jack dancing as they're kind of fighting and throwing attacks at each other, all while you're pressing certain buttons at the correct time, is what makes this a perfect QTE boss battle. And the song that goes with it is another another version of the Oogie Boogie song, and it's one of my favorite boss battles in general, and it's beautifully done. From the scenery, from the trash talk, to the lyrics of the song. Oh, and just how, and that last little bit is what gets you every time, because instead of dealing damage, you need to do a good majority of the song perfectly in order to finish it, because every note you miss, Jack loses a health. And I think that's a brilliant way of doing a boss battle like this. I hope many other games have boss battles like this one. But, and just that last little bit before the end of the song is where it gets the most intense, because the pace of the notes gets faster, the singing is more intense, and it's just a beautiful boss battle overall. Now, most of these, pretty much a good majority of the boss battles on this list have some flaws. Not big flaws, but flaws in general. But this boss battle, number 1, there are no flaws with this boss battle. This is a perfect boss battle. And the thing is, it's not even a it's not even a major role in the game. This was done, you know what? My shirt says it all, ladies and gentlemen. A Batman villain is my number 1 boss battle. And it comes from the second game of the series. You know who I'm talking about. Mr. Freeze from Batman Arkham City is my favorite boss battle. For reasons, he's not doing it for villainous reasons. This boss battle happens because Freeze is in desperate need to get his wife back from Joker, so he has to stop Batman in order to do it. And this boss battle takes place in a frozen GCPD area, and it's done beautifully. For one thing, everything you've collected, all the weapons you've collected in the game will help you, and as well as every single thing you've learned in the game. Oh my god, because after downloading some data, it will show you exactly what to do. You have to take Freeze down by using your gadgets, with the environment, using your takedowns that you've used, and it will show you like 9 to 12 different ways of taking him out. From using the RC gun, the electrical charge gun to shoot at to have Freeze stick to the wall, to using the floor grates, to hiding from around the corner, using the disruptor in order to stop his weapon use, from using the ledges, the zip line, everything you use. And the reason this boss battle is so perfect is how they do it. Because Freeze is so intelligent and he's got that high-tech suit, after you use a technique in order to damage him once, he will adapt so you can't use it ever again. This forces you to use your other techniques and your other gadgets and other styles in order to tackle him, because you can't use the same thing twice. He adapts to it every single time, and that's what makes this boss battle so good. The fact that everything you've done, I mean, because in the Batman games, most people use a good number of things in order to take out the enemies when there's a Predator mode, but this is the first time it forces you to change your tactics. And it's not until Arkham Knight that they improve on that more. But this game originates that concept, and it does it beautifully. He may not be an actual villain, he may not be one of the greatest, but goddamn if he isn't one of the best boss battles in the Arkham series. And if I do a list like that, you can guarantee he's going to be on top, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's it for my top 13 best bosses list. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe down below. Like I said, if I can get like over 200 subscribers, I will do an Overwatch video. So, starting off next month, get ready to board, where I tackle Resha Sentai Tokyuger and how it can be a Power Rangers. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is GamerK, logging out.